Welcome to Getting Started with Thermal. The Getting Started videos are intended to get you going with the mod, whether you are playing with it in a big mod pack like I am here, or individually. If you want to know the basics and the beginning usages, then stick around. If you're looking for more of this content, be sure to subscribe as I'm releasing videos like this regularly alongside my modded Let's Play series. Be sure to check that out. It's a bit of fun. There's a lot of information in this video being given out, so I've added timestamps to the sections in the description if you want to jump to anything specific to rewatch. Hope you enjoy Thermal. What's it all about? Well, it's an amazing technical mod and definitely a go-to for me in the early game in a big mod pack. I can get my RF, FE, power, whatever sorted without too much grind, and it has some amazing machines that can help progression. But first of all, let's look at what the core ingredients are and the core piece of machine is. The machine frame just next to me here. The machine frame is the core of all of the machines that you're going to build. Okay, it's made with iron, tin and glass, but that recipe is specific to this mod pack that I'm in, which is the Direwolf 1.18 mod pack. So JEI is your friend in all of these situations. It will show you how to make it. Thermal adds a couple of ores, nickel and tin. You've already seen that tin is used in the machine frame. You're going to have to go off hunting for nickel and tin, and there are a number of alloys as well. You can make Invar, bronze, lumium, constantine. Alloying is done in the Induction Smelter, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. The Induction Smelter does need Invar, but thankfully in this pack you can actually craft Invar with 2 iron and a nickel and a fire charge. But again, these recipes might be specific to this mod pack, and they might be different in whatever mod packs you're playing. So check JEI. Then you can create some Invar, and then you can create an Induction Smelter, so you can then add all of these alloys to it and make all the other bits that you need to make for all of the machines. Right, before we get onto the machines, let's talk power. Thermal brings you lots of different types of generators. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. And these are all relatively easy to make early game, and they burn relatively easy things to sort out early game. Well, the Sterling Dynamo definitely does. Anything combustible. So you pop some logs in there, it will start generating power for you. Put coal in, it will generate slightly more power. The Compression Dynamo, any combustible liquid. So you throw some oil in there, it will start to generate. My go-to is the Magmatic, the lava generator. So using lava, and there's normally big pools of lava that you can use, moving it around with pipes and things, and then this will generate a certain amount of power. If you want to see how these all work, again, JEI is your friend, right? So if we look at the Magmatic Dynamo, we can click on it here, and it shows us how to craft it. If we hover over and press U, okay, which is what that did, or right click, you can see that lava is going to generate power. So this one takes lava. If we want to look at Sterling generator, press U or right click, you can see coal is generating 40,000 RF, block of coal is generating 240,000 RF, blaze powder is generating 12,000. Basically, use JEI to figure that all out. There are other dynamos. This uses coins. This uses gemstones, so you can throw diamonds in here if you wanted. Not sure we'd want to do that. Disenchanted. So this actually uses enchanted items. So if you've got an enchanting setup, and some of the machines that are out there in other mods can do enchanting, you could enchant a book, put it in here, it would disenchant it, take the book out. You can create a loop to generate power, and this takes food. Yep, food. Turn food into RF. Let's talk about moving stuff around first as well. The mod itself doesn't have any sort of pipes, so no way to move items around or fluids around or power around. So you will need another mod to help you do that. Now, one in this pack called Pipes, that is a very simple mod to move stuff about. Pipes has item pipes, fluid pipes, energy pipes, gas pipes, universal pipes, it can do anything. You have various upgrades that can happen to these things, and it has a wrench. That's quite useful. They're not expensive to make, and they're very simple to use. So here we've got I've got a creative lava tank, but you'd obviously hook that up to whatever lava source you've got. This pipe, you right click, you see it highlighting there. If I right click on it, I can disconnect it, I can reconnect it, but that's not pulling the lava out. I can reconnect it, and now it's got that pulling the lava out piece. Got that little square on the top now. That's just moving the power, moving the lava into the generator. And if I have a look in the generator, I could see I'm generating 4 RF per tick. It's a maximum of 40 RF per tick it can do, and it's running at 100% efficiency. So I'm using then an energy pipe, and again I've booped it with my wrench to disconnect it, reconnect it, and make it pull. And that's going into a redstone furnace. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you can see that this, you can see that this redstone furnace has got power in it. Now, over there you can see you can string these together to make multiple generators output into one pipe network that then gives you more than one generator's worth of power. You might be able to generate the power, but how do you store it? Well, in thermal, you can use a redstone flux cell. This guy can hold the power. It can hold, at its base value, 1 million RF. Later on in the video, we talk about our augments and upgrades, and we can actually make this hold a lot more than that. But at its base, it can hold 1 million RF. It can input at 1000 RF per tick and output at 1000 RF per tick. So you need one of these guys hooked up to your generators. You can start storing some power. Before we start looking at the GUI of all of these things, make sure to smash the like button. Really helps me out. Make sure the YouTube algorithm knows that this is worth watching, and we'll send it out to more people. Right, the GUI. So let's talk about the look of these machines. All of the machines have a very similar interface. So you have information, you have kind of the power usage of the machine, you have redstone control, so you can make these machines turn on and off through redstone, or not, and you have augmentations you can do. I'm going to cover augmentations towards the end of the video, but these all have a similar look and feel. So you can see here, we've got information, we've got energy, we've got augments, we've got redstone control, and the machines themselves have a configuration. Let's talk configuration. All the machines have a very similar setup from a configuration point of view, so I use the redstone furnace as an example. We'll take you through it, and then hopefully you'll know exactly what to do with configurations. So configuration area is here, and you can see top, bottom, left, right, back. Top, bottom, left, right, and back. So in this example, the back is being used for energy, so we don't really have the back, but we could use the left and output to the right. We could use the top and output to the bottom. Obviously, you could use the top and output this side as well, or you could input from this side. Okay, so you can do whatever you need to do. And the way this works, so if I put some oak logs in here, and I say, right, I want to input from the top. And you can see now the blue square is here, and it's actually inputting the logs from the top. If I turn that off, it will stop. See? It's not inputting anymore. It might not be inputting anymore, but it is still working because we've got RF. Okay? So a redstone furnace is basically, you know, a normal furnace, but uses RF instead of a source of fuel. Output. Let's output to that chest below. So we want to output. That's the input because it's blue. That's now the output because it's orange, and I'm saying output orange, but it's not going anywhere. Well, I need to enable auto output. Now, it's pushing it down into this chest. So remember, auto output needs to be enabled if you're pushing down into a chest. Or into another machine. So I could actually, I could turn that off. Okay, and it will start sticking in here. And let's push it to the one on the right. And there's our charcoal going in here. One of the cool things is you can output to another machine. So if you're creating iron and then you want to turn that iron into iron dust, you could say, right, smelt the iron in the redstone furnace and then push the iron into a pulverizer to turn it into dust. So I put a pulverizer next to that guy and hook it up with some power. Whoop. So let's say we want to input on the left. So we'll just make sure that that's set up. Input on the left, and we want to output on the right, which is actually going to push it into this machine. So we need to set this machine as an auto input enabled and input on the left. And let's output on the right to a chest. Put iron chunks in. This is creating the iron ingots. They actually automatically are going into the pulverizer are now being pulverized into dust. And if we turn auto output on, that dust will end up in the chest. Got it? So you can chain these machines together to create a production line to end up with the resources that you want. Let's talk machines that you must have, in my humble opinion. You've seen the redstone furnace in action already. That's basically a furnace but uses RF, so you don't need loads of coal to burn stuff. You can just use your RF generators. Very, very useful. The way it can be input and output we've just gone through means you can automate an awful lot of stuff through the redstone furnace. Next on my list is the Pulverizer. This basically does what it says. It pulverizes stuff. So a lot of recipes require dust of some description, iron dust, nickel dust, tin dust. The Pulverizer is your man for that job. So like we've just seen over there, you can string the two machines together and turn your chunks into ingots, then your ingots into dust. Awesome machines. Finally, the Induction Smelter. Now, the Induction Smelter is your route to alloys. Remember we talked about Invar, bronze, lumium, constantine? Yeah, you could craft Invar, but you can, using an Induction Smelter, turn it from its raw ingredients into its ingot without the loss. If we look at Invar in JEI and left click on it, you can see it takes 2 iron ingots and a nickel ingot and a fire charge to get 3 Invar. But up the top here, you can see the Induction Smelter recipe is only 2 iron ingots and 1 nickel ingot, so we don't need the fire charge. So if we want to create Invar, we can pop in here 2 iron ingots and a nickel ingot. It does its thing and creates 3 Invar ingots. Simple, right? And again, JEI is your friend. So for bronze, we can see the Induction Smelter recipe is 1 tin and 3 copper. Alloying understood? Marvelous. Now I want to show you 4 more machines that I use a lot in my modded Minecraft play. The first one, the Phytogenic Insulator. This essentially turns the seeds or the flour into what else it can turn into, or it duplicates it. So in this case, seeds are turning into wheat and some more seed. As with all of these things, JEI is your friend. So if we right click or press U over the actual Phytogenic Insulator, it shows us what it can do. So we can see in here, I can turn beetroot seeds into 2 beetroots and an additional chance of 10% of getting another beetroot seed. This stuff actually increases your chances of getting the extra. So if you put flint in with it, you'll get a better chance of getting the extra. I use this a lot to make sure I've got a good supply of wither roses. Because me fighting the wither and getting the wither set up into a wither farm to generate them is beyond me. And why do I need to when I can just make sure I generate one and then use a Phytogenic Insulator? This needs water and whatever seeds or flowers you're putting in. This way, I've got a sink. The sink comes from the Cooking for Blockheads mod, if you've got it. Otherwise, you need to hook it up to a water source. And I've said input from the top, and I've got auto input enabled, as you've seen with the configuration. So it's inputting the water, and you could output and input your items as well. So I could input these from the left, say from the left, and I could output from the right. You've seen this before. Next, the Multiservo press. This chap creates plates. So a lot of recipes in the modded series and in other mods require plates. You can see there's a load here, aluminium plates, bronze plates, copper plates, and you can see you can make them in the Multiservo press. It just needs power and the copper ingot to make the plate. Next, the Magma Crucible. This guy is quite cool. It creates the liquid form of things that you might need. So a lot of recipes require destabilized redstone. You get that from the Magma Crucible. Right click it in JEI and you can see what you're going to get. So if you need to generate an infinite amount of lava and you've got an infinite amount of cobblestone, you can do that in the Magma Crucible. Finally, the Blast Chiller. This guy's pretty much what it says on the tin. It blasts things with cold water and turns that cold water into ice. And that's all it needs. Like I've done before, I've got a sink, auto input, and it's turning that cold water into ice. It can do other things too. It can turn molten stuff with an ingot cast into ingots. It can turn lava into obsidian. No more mining obsidian. Use your blast chiller, fill it with your lava source, and you get an infinite amount of obsidian. Very, very useful. One thing you might see is these machines are running quite quick. And that's because I've put some speed upgrades in them. Flux Linkage Amplifiers. Increases process speed, but reduces RF efficiency. What a segue to Augments. Anyone would think I'd planned it. Thermal allows you to augment your machines. And there are various augments for various machines. The ones I'm going to cover here are the ones that can be used in a lot of the machines, and I tend to use a lot. Again, JEI, take a look, search for thermal augments, and you'll see the full list. First on my list are integral components. These guys are tiered. You can get a hardened integral component, a reinforced integral component, or a resonant integral component. The difference? The higher the tier, the harder it is to craft. You should be able to get the hardened without too much effort. And what do these do? Well, they improve the base attribute. So if we go over here and look at this redstone flux cell, you will see that its base components are, it can input at 1000 and it can output at 1000 and it can hold 1 million RF. If I put this hardened integral component in, it will double it. You can see that scale factor is 2. So if I put that in, you can now see it can hold 2 million RF, and I can increase the input to 2000 and I can increase the output to 2000. It has doubled it. The higher tiers, this one trebles it, this one times it by 4. And that works in all of the machines. So if you put it in the redstone furnace, it will double the amount of power it can hold and it will double its output speed. Got it? Right, next. RF coils. RF coils expand the redstone flux capability. So the expanded increases the capacity and the transfer speeds by a multiple of 4. But there's also the stabilized, which increases the capacity by 6 and only doubles the transfer, or there's the high flux, which only doubles the capacity but increases the transfer. So if you're trying to power something and you need more power but not that much capacity, you want to use the high flux. But if you want to increase the amount it can hold and not too worried about the transfer speed, you want to use the stabilized. If you want to just have a medium ground, then use this one, the expanded. We can see this in action too. So if I put my expanded RF in here, you can see now we can hold 8 million. So we've got the 2 million from that and a 4 times factor with the expanded. So that can hold 8 million, and it will also now be able to transfer at 8,000 because it's times that by 4. I now can't put this guy in. You can only have one of these and one of these in. But I could say, right, I actually want higher capacity, not worried about the transfer speed, and now it can hold 12 million because it's times it by 6. It's times our 2 by 6. It has also increased our transfer rate to double, so we can do 4,000 transfer rate. Makes sense? Hope so. Next, Flux Linkage Amplifiers. These guys increase the processing speed but reduces the efficiency of the machine. So you can see in these machines I'd put 4 Flux Linkage Amplifiers in there. So these guys are running 4 times as fast, but it's using more power. So the more of these you have in, the more power it needs to do that action. It's a speed upgrade basically, but you need more power. All right, next, Flux Efficiency. The Flux Efficiency reduces the processing speed, but increases the amount of RF efficiency it has, so it uses less power at a slower speed. Got it? So we've got a speed upgrade and potentially a speed downgrade, but an efficiency gain. So you could balance these things in your machines. If you know you've got a machine that actually needs to run as fast as it possibly can, you're going to fill it with the speed upgrades. But say you've got a machine that uses an awful lot of power and you don't want it to use that much, and you're not worried about speed, shove an efficiency in there. Again, you can have more than one of each in those machines. Now, the auxiliary reaction chamber. This guy increases the amount of generation that happens from our dynamos, so from our generators. The multi-cycle injector, which is the next one, increases the fuel efficiency for our dynamo. So these two can go in our generators to increase the amount of RF it generates and improves the efficiency it uses in the fuel, right? So over here in this Magma dynamo, we can see we're producing a 40 RF per tick at a maximum of 40 RF per tick at 100% efficiency. If I put an auxiliary reaction chamber in there, you can see we're now producing 80 RF per tick, but only at 90% efficiency. So if I now put this guy in there, we're up to 99% efficiency. And like the others, we can put more than one in. We're now at 120 RF. We're now at 160 RF. If I take the efficiency one out, we're only at 73% efficiency. And if I put that in, we're at 200 RF per tick, but only 66% efficiency. It's a balancing game. Do you have an unlimited supply of lava? Do you need more power? Then you're going to want to use the one that gives you more power. But if you don't have an unlimited supply of lava, you probably need to have some efficiency stuff in there as well, so you're not just wasting lava. Got it? Excellent. And there we have it. Thermal. Sorted. Leave me some comments if you need me to go into any more detail on any of this stuff, or if there's something else in thermal that you might need some help with, and I'll gladly try and do another little video to help you out. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Do check out my Let's Play series, should be above now. Right, catch you in the next one. Bye!